Hello and welcome to Stephen University, the third day of our 4-day Stephen Bomb. Today we are discussing The Return. Now, before everyone gets real mad that we've separated The Return and Jailbreak, we're watching them, recording, and then immediately watching the next one. So we're still watching them together, for those of you who are going to be upset that we're not doing that. And if you disagree...
Something Dan's been very worried about in the planning of this bomb.
Yeah. Well, people were mad last time.
Just before we recorded, Dan went, right, let's do it. It's a big one, Chris. People are excited, as if he was being like, don't be shit, okay? Don't be shit on this one, Chris.
What I meant. But that's
if you didn't like it,
that is an amazing interpretation.
No, because last time we recorded, I had a fucking awful cold. Yeah, and I didn't know if you were like, if you've got the cold, do a better job of hiding it this time, Chris. Yeah?
That's not what I was going for at all, but that is quite funny.
And true. Am I wrong?
What do you mean?
Am I wrong that you'd like me to be less shit than I was last time we recorded?
I didn't think you were shit last time, so yeah, you're wrong.
That was a little bit shit.
I mean, no. I mean, that's... I think because I think if we're doing a scale, Chris, 0 is neither good nor bad. Minus numbers that's towards shit, and plus numbers are towards good. And you're normally up there in the plus. So even if you come down a couple marks because you got a cold, that doesn't put you in the minus. I mean, that'd be a hell of a cold, mate. That'd be...
Yeah, but mate. I was in the evening after we recorded. I was sneezing and my body was hurting from the force of the sneezes. I had to Google how to sneeze better when you've got a cold, so you don't fucking pull a muscle in your back. It was bad. Apparently, you should do it upright and hold on to things. But I'm pretty sure this isn't why people are excited about the episode. So.
Right, yeah, let's
talk about that instead.
Let's get into it then. So this one's The Return. Chris, what was it about?
The Return was about the gems returning to Earth.
Yep.
No, okay, so a fuller description. A big pointy hand spaceship appears in the sky.
Yep.
The gems are like, oh shit, let's get everyone out. Stephen calls in a favour with the mayor. The mayor the mayor makes a great joke about finger pointing, which is lovely.
Yeah, can I just say that I laughed so much I had to pause at that point because I couldn't. Yeah. I just couldn't.
I couldn't. Really good joke.
And you know what? It's a joke that I honestly was like, I don't know if kids get that, but I don't care. It's really funny.
Yeah. So they start the evacuation of the town, and then Stephen's sad to learn that he's got to go with his dad. Whilst going on the way, the dad says one or two little things, which makes Stephen finally string all this shit together, as he should have done ages ago.
Yep.
And realised that the gems were trying to take over the Earth with the farm, and then not the farm, whatever they call it, the kindergarten. And then he's like, "I've got to go back. They need my shield." His dad's like, "All right, you go back," and he's like, "Okay." So he goes off. And he's like, you look after the town. I insert a comment here, actually, while I think of it. I kind of wish that Greg had been determined to go with Stephen. And then Stephen was like, no, if I'm not going to look after the town people, you really have to.
Oh, that would have been nice.
And I think that would have been a bit nicer. Yeah.
I mean, then one of those things where it's not bad they didn't get to it, but it would have been slightly better if they had. I agree with that.
I think then you'd have felt like the town was still being looked after, and you would have had a sense of his dad suggesting that he was going to go with him. Yeah. Lion appears, they go back, the hand appears, there's the one I can never remember, Lapis
Lazuli, and the new one.
Yep, I don't know why you correct me every time, because I'm never going to remember. And
I don't know, because you started pronouncing amethyst right, which for months you were calling her arm fist and arm rest and...
No, that's true.
Yeah, you got amethyst wrong so many times, and you eventually got it right. I think with enough correction, Chris, you too can pronounce lapis lazuli.
And then there's this, like you say, it's this third dude, and he's like, "What the fuck is this? Why am I here? This is pathetic. Just shoot him." And then Stephen's like, "I'm a gem!" Psh, bang! And he's like, "Whoa, what's up with this kid? Rose, why do you look like that?" And Stephen's like, "Ah," and he still thinks she's Rose. Picks him up. Nick Stephen fucks off. The gems are like, what? Oh, and Garnet is blown up, and then there's 2 gemstones. What did I tell you? They land in the shape of where Garnet exploded. So Pearl and Amethyst are just on the beach chilling out. Steven's up in the big pointy hand, presumably in jail, based on the episode title coming up next. And Garnet we're waiting for Garnet to reform, I'm assuming, into two separate
as per your previously established
my
theory.
previously established prediction.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the episode.
You've assumed a little bit about the ending, because basically Garnet, they use a device that the destabilizer on Garnet. She does explode as correctly observed. Then Jasper picks up Steven, and the last thing we see is Amethyst and Pearl running towards them towards Jasper to try and save Steven, and then Jasper headbutts Steven, and it goes to black.
Yeah, I mean, the next episode's called Jailbreak, so maybe I'm putting a bit of foreknowledge in there, but that's my assumption. Yeah, it's a cool ending.
It's a great ending. And truthfully, not really intended as a cliffhanger, because these two aired together at the end of a week, Stephen Bomb.
Right, so hold on. So it went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday?
No, it went... there was 6... This is the first Stephen Bomb that had 6 episodes in it. We're doing just 4 of them, but I think this bomb had 6, if memory serves. The rest of all since had 5, Monday to Friday, but this one went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's a double at the end.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Yeah, it was... You know what? It's one of those things where it is a really nice way to watch the end of the season, to do it that way, but you then have to skip out a story for Steven and 1 or 2 other episodes to make it flow properly. But then it's like, where do you put them? Because as I've pointed out in the past, putting them in the beginning of season 2 is not good. So, one of those things.
Yeah, and it's a shame to lose story for Steven. I think it adds weight to this one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Shirt Club, not so much. I don't think we needed Shirt Club before this one, but we definitely needed a story for Steven.
Yeah, because what they seem to be sort of suggesting is that they're all war criminals. So we're going to have a situation where that's more clear, I think, maybe. Mm-hmm. And then Steven gets this really sweet story about his mum. And it's like, you presumably at the point where he really is fully thinking she's a war criminal, so...
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of dramatic potential there, depending on what route they take with it and exactly what sort of things will be.
Yeah, because I really found myself thinking. I really love the episode. That's hopefully a given. Really, really enjoyable. Nice amount of tension. Good stuff with the town. Hopefully, there's a payoff with that. Hopefully, we cut back to them next week. And I like the idea that they maybe are involved in saving them. I don't know if that's obvious, but. As in that's an obvious idea and that's why they're not going to do it. But
maybe.
I got vibes of like when he was like, she attacked and I liked her tactics and stuff like that. I was a bit like, oh, are we gonna see a bit of their point of view maybe? I know they're the bad guys, but one of the few elements, I don't know if I've referenced it on this before, one of the few elements I liked about what the creators said about the Negan character in The Walking Dead was that if we'd followed, in The Walking Dead, most of the villains, you'd like to think if we followed them from the beginning, Rick would then be seen as the bad guy, because you're just seeing the other side of the story. And I think it would be quite cool to see a bit of their side of the story.
Yeah, no, I
have Steven conflicted.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, and I think it's really interesting because they've set it up in a way that makes Lapis sort of the middle ground. She's sort of she's not really on anyone's side. She clearly distrusts the crystal gems, but she's also not thrilled to be with the homeworld gems. So she's Switzerland. Is it Switzerland?
Yeah, I think it was Switzerland.
Yeah. Sorry, I did that thing where I said the name of the country like really confidently, and then went, "Wait, was it Switzerland that was on the fence?"
This is why we avoid making World War references.
It's why we don't make. That's why political humour is not really our bag, is it?
We don't know enough.
So also, quick thing to note, because you referred to Jasper, I noticed interestingly as a he, but gems don't have gender by traditional views, and the pronoun is always she for the gems.
I'm just horribly sexist, and I feel like there should be a man. No, well, Steven's a guy, and I think
only because he's part human. I think every other gem uses the she pronoun because they don't really have gender in the traditional sense that humans do.
I apologise if I've offended any gems out there. I just thought she was a man.
That's fine. No, neither. They're neither men nor women, but they go by the pronoun of she and her. I
feel like this is the Doctor Who argument in reverse. I feel like you're like the gem's always been a woman. Can't be a man.
Well, no, it's one of those interesting things where because there's technically no right answer because they have no gender, but they always go by the female pronouns.
Okay.
Grammatically speaking. So it's not really you're not offending Jasper, but you know.
Well, I think the key reason I'm not offending Jasper is she's a fictional character.
Yes.
So that's the main, yeah.
Yeah. Did you like that Jasper's weapon was it like a head gauntlet, like a what's the word I'm looking for, like a big helmet thing that you could charge and headbutt with?
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought a lot of that. I thought the finger pointing spaceship was cool.
Yep. Actually, it really matches with the thing from the second episode, the Red Eye.
Remind me.
So in the very second episode of the show, after the whole what's the other one? The other episode, with the cookie cat thing. Sorry, the word cat triggered me there. Cookie Cat, the first episode, obviously, they fight a monster and he's eating ice cream to try and get his shield. This very second episode, the one after that, there's just this big red eye in the sky. And Garnet throws Amethyst at it to try and destroy it. That doesn't work. So then he goes to try and find something of Rose's to help destroy it. And that's when he goes with his dad into the garage. And they find the laser light cannon, which they actually use at the beginning of this episode to try and take out the hand.
Thing is, Dan, it's the final, and people are really excited about it. So we don't have the time for me to get angry and then forgive you for bringing up that episode.
But
and it upsets me that you take the risk. That's all, because
that was a genuine slip up.
You yourself said how important this episode was, and now you want to piss about with this overdrawn bit that we've done too many times.
Can I make a point and say that this episode actually directly references Catfingers? Because in Catfingers, Steve and Greg clean the mayor's car, and he does say that he owes them a political favour when the job is done, because he can't pay them. So they clean his car for political favours, and this week when Stephen goes to call the mayor, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, on Stephen's phone, Nadia picked this up, not me, but on Stephen's phone, the picture of Mayor Dewey is like him in like a vest, like Stephen went into his house, like, you know, when he was in his downtime, and like took that photo of him. He looks like really groggy and like maybe like he's wearing his pajamas or something.
That's funny, but my opinion of the whole episode is sunk now. I know it's got a reference to the episode.
Oh, shush. Anywho, yeah, it wouldn't be.
I thought the political favour was in relation to the previous episode, which was about politics and.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought that initially, but looking at it, they directly say that I owe you a political favour in Catfingers, whereas he doesn't directly say that in the episode before. So
why would you name it again? Why would you name it again?
Because that's what we're talking about.
That's what you're talking about. So I'm very firmly not talking about it.
In Laser Light Cannon, to move on before this gets really tiring, as it has definitely done several episodes back. It's interesting that the ship is a big hand, but obviously previously we'd had a red eye, and that red eye was a scout ship sent by Peridot. She confirmed that in one of the first episodes we saw her. So it's really interesting that their ships like took the form of like it's not interesting. It's just it's a cool design choice that's clearly been kept consistent. That their ships are designed seemingly after body parts.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of relationship there with the gems taking forms like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's one of those things that I'll ever really like get, and I don't feel like I'm spoiling to say that I don't really know 100% know why that choice has been made, where I'm up to even. But it'd be nice if one day they sort of address that and explain that there's a reason. But yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Presumably, you got into the show, didn't you, when it had been airing for a bit? So were you bulk watching at this point, or?
Yeah, it was literally just after this point I stopped bulk watching, like somewhere in early season 2. So, I got to bulk watch through these episodes.
So imagine these episodes you just powered through.
Oh, 100%. Could not get enough. Literally one after the other. It was what me and Nadia call next ep. which is when an episode finishes and we start chanting next ep, which means put the next one on. So yeah, it's
weird. I find it weird when both of you do it, like in the stories you've told. If one of you's doing it to make the other one go, yeah, all right, we'll watch the next episode, and then press play.
Yeah, I like
if
we're
both
both
doing
asking
it,
for the next step and no one's doing it.
Yeah, there's an element if you're both chanting it, like just fucking put on the next episode, guys.
All three scenarios have happened. One of us chanting, the other one chanting, both of us chanting. I think it's a real...
Have you ever looked at each other and been like, next step, shall we?
Yeah. It's occasionally. Yeah. But we also now use it as a way to describe a show that is very, like, for lack of a better word here, Moorish. You know, you finish... You know, there's a certain shows you just like, desperate to watch
for the Pringles of TV.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who don't know, I don't know if they have that marketing slogan in the UK, in America or not, but in the UK, one of the long-term marketing slogans for Pringles was "Once you pop, you just can't stop." I don't know if that marketing element went to the States or not, but I don't know. Yeah, bit weird.
But I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I hope that's what I think. If you were going to say to me, Chris, what's your big wish for episode 2? Which is, I could see a question I could see you asking. Not the most. The question you'd ask the most would be, so where are you now with the show? I spent like
I feel like that's worth
minutes.
asking at the end of the next episode.
I just feel like, what usually happens is I spend 10 minutes giving my clear and concise opinion, and then you're like, so where are you with the show? It's like, well, everything I just fucking said. No, I'm joking. We're recording a lot of these today. I can't get bitter yet. My hope for the next episode, I want to see the people from the town help in some way.
Yep.
I think they, especially with the last episode to this, Political Power, they've done a lot to build the town as someone as a group that can work as a unit.
And even in this episode, they did a little reference to that they need uniting, but when together, they can. But they have been gotten out of Dodge.
Yeah, the fact that they're gotten out of Dodge. What do you mean?
Like in this episode, they would very purposefully they drove away from the town. They are not around.
So yeah. I don't know where the town's
not
called.
Require some of the next episode being dedicated to showing them turn around and come back. I suppose.
Yeah. Which is fine. But or just turning up at the end. We don't see them turn around. I'm confused by get out of Dodge because the town's called Ocean City or whatever, isn't it?
It's a well-known saying. Get out of Dodge.
Is it? Yeah. What you mean, like dodge out the way?
Sort of. Get out of Dodge means, like if you think it's gonna like.
Yeah, but there's two things that mean the same thing. Get dodge means to dodge, get out the way, and get out of means to get out the way.
I mean,
that's like being like, let's eat. I'm hungry for some eating. It's just the same.
I didn't invent it, but it's a well-known saying. In fact, it's been well-known saying for so long that I'm pretty sure there's an album that's its title from like the 90s.
I just think it's bizarre, Dan. That's all.
I didn't invent the phrase. Why are you?
That's my hope.
I'm not the champion for the phrase "get out of Dodge." I just said it.
Well, you kind of are because you're the only person I've heard ever say it.
Well,
so...
I find that really hard to believe. It's an extraordinarily well-known phrase.
Comment below if you've heard of the phrase "get out the Dodge."
Get out of Dodge or get out of Dodge.
That's so weird. The other thing is obviously now that we've got these 2 gems, I want my moment. I want my 2 gems appear and then have to fuse to form Garnet. I want that.
You want your theory. You want your theory proved right is what you want more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just fine. I think that's a reasonable thing. I don't feel like a bad person for saying that.
No, that's reasonable. So what did you think about the big moment then, the shield? Because obviously what's nice about this episode and what I like about this episode is the way it comes around to Stephen realizing that he needs to be there isn't out of what his usual not selfish, but slightly selfish desire to be part of the team. Sometimes he just wants to be around because he just wants to be part of the team. And I think this is a really nice, mature moment for him because the reason he goes back is to protect them because he realizes that Rose's job on the team was protecting the other members. She had a shield as her weapon. Her whole thing was protecting the others. And having him realize that and that be the impetus for him turning round not his usual. But I want to be part of the Crystal Gems. Is to me a
yeah.
a
Well,
nice.
I think he made two mature decisions. The decision to go with the town, under the logic that he can lead them and be a voice, was also mature.
Yes, to
and
not
then the decision-
object at that point was also a nice, pleasant surprise. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was kick-ass. I thought they hammered it home a little bit, to the point of, like, if he didn't produce the shield, then that would have been incredibly disappointing, because it was literally like, it's not quite Krispy Kreme in the Power Rangers movie, but it was your mum's. Thank God for her shield. I've got a shield. They need my shield. Like, well, we know the shield is a coming. But I think sometimes that's not a criticism, because that's the payoff for the moment they make you want to see. So
yeah, I think that's really interesting. Is like that it somehow still feels like a powerful and huge moment to see Steven jumping out in front of the gems in the beam, like being so brave and like saving them that way. The way the music rises, the visuals, like the big cloud of smoke, and then you see it settle and they're there, and he's got the shield, and it's like you knew it was coming, but it didn't matter. It's done in such a
definitely.
Everything from the music to the visuals to the way it's been set up in the previous all leads to this really quite powerful moment. I found that to be like a really important point in the show for him and stuff. That's the moment that for me you go like, okay, he's that's it now. He's on the team. They're never gonna shield him away from anything now. Surely. Yeah. Like he is now. That is him proving himself. This thing that they couldn't stop, that they could not, that would kill them, that they had no control over, that they had no ability to prevent. And Steven leapt in front, not knowing for sure he could even do it, because his ability to summon the shield has been erratic at best.
Yeah.
And then even if he could summon the shield, would it work against this new gem technology? Didn't matter. He threw himself in front of it for the ones that
there's family, Dan.
Well, exactly. Like in a Fast and the Furious sort of way, it's his La Familia.
No, he says it. He says that.
I know. I know. I'm just making a. I was making a joke about the fact that in Fast and the Furious they always talk about how their family, like non-stop.
It was on an Honest trailer. They pointed out that someone at some other film, it was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. They were like, they say so much in that it's family. Anyone would think it was a Fast and Furious movie. And they seamlessly blend it in.
Yeah, because that's all the Fast and the Furious movies talk about. They're my friends, they're my family, all that stuff. Anyway,
should we go watch the second one, man?
Well, I've got one other thing to talk about, Chris, before we do that, very quickly.
Okay.
So what did you think about some of Jasper's comments? So Jasper said a few different things I thought were interesting when I first watched this that I really picked on. And like, because I was hanging on Jasper's every word because I was just desperate for more information about Homeworld and what they were up to and all that stuff. So one of the things that I thought was towards the end, when after Steven reveals himself and Jasper realizes that Steven has the power of Rose Quartz. Jasper says, "Rose, why do you look like that? Why are you so weak?" To which Lapis replies, "Don't hurt him." And then it goes back round, and basically they're like, "Forget about the mission. Yellow Diamond needs to see this thing."
Well, he can't conceive what Steven is, so he's assuming Steven is Rose, just looking a bit different. I don't think he has any idea yet that he's half human, half Rose. So yeah, I just took that to be that's not a technology or a thing they've done before or they've experienced. So
yeah, but,
maybe that's like
do the hint to Yellow Diamond.
Oh, I just assume Big Bad. I just assumed the next Big Bad.
The next Big Bad.
What's wrong with that? That's a reason.
That is completely fair enough. I was just like, to me though, that hint of like the existence of someone above these guys who are the threat now before that story is even played out seemed quite bold to me.
Yeah, but I think that's quite common in like I don't know why I always fucking go back to Power Rangers, but it was Rita, and then it was Zed, and then it was Rita's dad.
Yeah, but in the very first episode, they didn't introduce Rita and then go, and there's Zed somewhere he's out there somewhere. You'll meet him later, but I tell you, he's a bigger threat than I am.
Well, they haven't done that here. This is the final.
No, this is the introduction of Jasper, and Jasper's already saying the Yellow Diamond.
Yeah, but you could argue that with we were expecting Peridot, and then Peridot and Jasper. So do you see what I mean? And maybe that didn't hit me as much as that's already happened, because it's already like, oh, it's not just Peridot, it's this Jasper dude. So then it's less of an issue when the Jasper dude's like, there's someone else as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, then the other thing that I caught and really hung on to was how Jasper described the gems. This is what's left of her army: some lost defective pearl, a puny overcooked runt, and this shameless display.
Yeah, I thought runt was a bit harsh. And the shameless display, was that the exact quote you're quoting from the script?
Yes.
No, so you didn't cover Garnet then, because shameless display was Stephen, wasn't it?
No, she notices Stephen after. This is before she spotted Stephen. Stephen stood behind the gems, so she goes, but this is all that's left of her army: a lost defective pearl, a puny overcooked runt. The camera hits Garnet. This shameless display, and that's when she looks between them and sees Stephen at the bottom, and she goes, "And what is that?" And then Peridot says it calls itself the Stephen, which, by the way, I love that so much.
In that case, the most interesting one for me is shameless display. I think that, I mean, again, just goes to my theory, like that it's two gems, and therefore it's a display. Yeah.
The one that caught me was puny overcooked runt, and afterwards I looked into it, and the gem amethyst is created if you get it out the ground sooner. Geologically speaking, hundreds of years sooner, it's a different gemstone.
Oh, right.
And that doesn't directly come up in the. I mean, in the show, in the show they give it a sort of different reason.
Well, I took to mean she'd been in kindergarten for too long, or they usually dispose of the kindergarten gems, and this one hasn't been disposed of. That's what I kind of took.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong at all. But it's a line I hung on to because I was it fascinated me. So yeah, like I said, everything Jasper said, I hung on because I was just waiting morsels of information about Homeworld, anything. Let me, do you know what I mean? Like when I first watched this episode, I was just analysing every single word. And those were the two quotes that really got me. The hint that there's a bigger bad out there, the Yellow Diamond, and then of course her descriptions of the other gems, I thought was really interesting. So yeah. So cool. Now to quote you from earlier, shall we go watch the second part?
Let's go watch the second part. Yeah. Check it. Join us tomorrow for Jailbreak.
Yeah, we're going to watch it immediately, but you guys have to wait 24 hours because we're cruel like that.
But we could have been crueler because that's shorter than you would have had to wait.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So yeah, there you go. We'll speak to you tomorrow. We'll do the usual bit, Chris, because I feel that's the right thing to do. I've been Dan Doolan.
Or should we do an awkward one?
Oh, like a cliffhanger, like the episode we just seen.
Yeah.
Should the cliffhanger be, is it gonna be awkward? But we'll cut it off before we get to be awkward, so they'll never know if the moment following that was awkward or not.
Great cliffhanger.
Brilliant. So we're gonna watch Jailbreak. Will the moments following this be awkward? You'll never know.